Hey, chiropractic students and recent grads, how successful could you be if you had a resource that clarified your vision, helped you develop a plan, saved you money, time, and heartache, shortened your learning curve, and helped you become profitable your first few months after opening? The Chiro Planner is here. More than just a journal, it's a guide to creating and launching your chiropractic practice in 100 days. It's jam-packed with tools, tips, ideas, action steps, resources, and inspiring quotes from some of the top chiropractors and entrepreneurs in the world today. Think of it as your own personal mentor, inspiring you, answering your questions, helping you to set goals, and advising you on the many unknowns of opening a practice. Go to www.chiroplanner.com today and save 40% by taking advantage of pre-launch pricing.
Welcome to the Chiro Business Mojo Podcast, where we deconstruct the methods, marketing, and mindset of successful business people and chiropractors from around the world. And now your host, Dr. Richard Day.
No, I'm not Dr. Richard Day, but yes, this is Chiro Business Mojo Podcast. I'm Dr. Kristen Hubbard, and today we are turning the tables on Dr. Day and asking him the questions. Actually, he'll be joined by his wife, Dr. Haley Day, so you get two for the price of one. If you've been listening to the show, you probably already know a bit about Dr. Day, but we thought we'd dig a bit deeper into his story and get to know his wife and business partner, Dr. Haley Day, as well. They also have a special announcement for us today. Welcome, Dr. Richard and Dr. Haley Day.
Hey, how are you?
Doing good. How are you?
We are doing good. We're excited to talk to you.
I'm just going to jump right in here and kind of start asking you a little bit of questions about your past. So why did you guys become chiropractors?
So my story is that I had my son was born about 16 years ago, and he had a lot of problems when he was a baby, and nobody could really help him. And around that time, I was looking for a new career because I had recently gotten laid off, and somebody said, "Have you tried chiropractic?" And I said, no, had no idea. I'd never been to a chiropractor before and had no idea what a chiropractor would do with a baby. But my son, they said he had colic. The pediatrician told us that. The neurologist told us that. And they told us we were nervous first-time parents, and he just wasn't sleeping well at night, really 5 to 10 minutes at a time. And so after a couple of weeks of being adjusted, he was sleeping 2 to 3 hours at a time, which was a world of difference for us. And I did end up getting laid off from my job at that time. And so I thought, I could go back into more corporate jobs, or I could do something that I really feel passionate about. And so for me, it was chiropractic. Plus, I got to combine it with being an entrepreneur, being my own boss. That was exciting to me as well. And so here I am this many years later and having a great time.
Wow, that's awesome. Those 5 powerful words, I'll tell you. Have you ever tried chiropractic?
Right, exactly. They work.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. What about you, Dr. Haley?
Okay, and for me, I grew up in an entrepreneurial family, so I always thought I would, hopefully have something of my own at some point. And while I was in college, I worked for a chiropractor, and I loved the community aspect of it, the health aspect, and getting to move around, not having to sit at a desk, and then also being my own boss. And
absolutely.
I didn't go right into it after school, but a couple years after being out of college, I thought, okay, I need to really pick something I really like, and I thought I will start chiropractic school. And I took one class at a time until I knew I would succeed at it and enjoy it, and I finished 3 years later, and here I am.
That's great. You guys are quite the power couple. You've got 2 different reasons on 2 different ends of the spectrum that come together and mesh well, I would assume. That's really neat.
Yeah, it's worked out pretty well. And we met in school, and I was going through a divorce at the time I was a student, and now we've got our own family and a business together, so it's been really great.
That's wonderful. A cute one, I might add. I've seen it. I've seen proof. All right. Well, let's talk a little bit more about what's going on right now. Do you guys currently practice?
So, no, we don't. We own 2 practices. We live in Kansas City. We have a practice in Colorado, which is where we started our first practice, and then we have one that's out here as well. And then I work for Cleveland University, formerly Cleveland Chiropractic College. So I do that.
And then I run the practices from the home. I keep in touch with them on a daily basis. I do most of the insurance billing and entering the EOBs when they come back. I talk to them just about any questions they have to help them run it and support them so that the practices succeed and do well on a daily basis.
Okay, so you're like the backbone of the practice. So what are some of the challenges of running two practices in two different states?
I would say not being able to be in the same state.
Sure.
It's hard not to be in Colorado and be there on a daily basis, but it's nice to have employees that carry through on what we started and continue to treat the patients the way we did when we were there. And I enjoy working with them. I wish I could be there on a daily. I miss seeing the patients that we, started with and that continue to go there. And
it's just, we built those relationships, and it's like a baby, right? You build a practice from nothing, especially the one in Colorado, and then you get to know the patients, you get to know them and their families, they refer people in, and then we move away. So we don't have that direct connection anymore, but we've been very fortunate. We've hired good people over the years, and we've come up with some really good processes that have remained in place that have allowed us to remotely operate that business, in a really effective and efficient manner. And then we've taken what we learned out there and we do the same thing in our practice out here, only it's much easier out here because we can actually, we can fill in if someone gets sick, or we can drive to the practice and fix a broken printer or something like that. So it's obviously a little bit easier than doing things from, hundreds of miles away. So, but I think it works for us.
Very cool. So for all our listeners out there who potentially have the goal of wanting to open multiple practices, what would you say is something that they should look for, something that they should be, what their goals should be, and kind of what was your turning point where you decided that you could run two practices and have, just more than the one?
I think with anything, if you have multiple offices or businesses, it's really important you have the systems in place that you can maintain the habits and the consistency of those practices, regardless if you're in the same state or not.
Yeah, I would say, get it right with one, figure it out, and have that be, the guinea pig or the test clinic. And then once you've really got a nice model that works, you can go duplicate that in other places. But it would probably be pretty tough to try to do that in a bunch of different locations. If you double your practices, you double your overhead too. So I would say if you're first starting out, start with one, really dial it in, run it lean and mean. And once you've got something that really works, then maybe think about a satellite clinic and grow it out from there. Right.
Okay. Well, great. So guys, why did you start Chiro Business Mojo podcast?
Well, in my experience, and I speak from my own personal experience, when you come out of school, you really don't know where to go. You hear so many different opinions, you hear so many different ideas, and you have no way to know what you should do or
no direction. That's right.
Yeah, really no clear direction. I mean, and there are some people that come into school or maybe by the time they graduate and they really know. I wasn't one of those people. I just kind of had an idea, but wasn't sure. I was sure of a few things and unsure of a whole lot. And so
I'm with you on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a common thing. And so I would say that, after being on this end of it now, being in practice for about 8 years, I just felt like I know enough now that I would like to help people. And I would talk to various people over the years, one-on-one, people who are recent grads and things like that. But I wanted to, with the advent of podcasting and digital media and the ease at which, and now Facebook Live, the ease at which you can communicate and connect with other people, I thought I would love to take what it is I know and find other people who are successful, because there's so many ways to be successful in this business, and really link those two together. Provide a way, bring an audience in of people who maybe are unsure, so listen to those who really know what they're doing and are sure. And for me, I think it's a great way to help and give back to the profession. We all have our strengths and weaknesses, and I thought this played to my strengths. I like being on the microphone and don't have a problem with it. So anyway, it was my idea to try to help the profession, really.
Well, it has been helpful, I know, on my end. So thank you for that. So let's talk about what you've been working on recently.
Well, we just recently came out with our Chiro Planner. It's a planner for students or new chiropractors that are just starting out. And it has loads of resources plus a intro part that talks about success, how you can be successful, what it takes to be successful. And then it walks you through many of the important aspects of starting out your own practice, or even if you're starting out in someone else's practice, it's important stuff to know. And then it has 100 days of planning. So it has a morning planner and then an evening planner. The morning planner kind of gets your day started, and the evening planner wraps up your day and then gets you ready for the day to come. And there's tons of quotes and tips, and then a whole load of resources at the end that talk about each of the states, different, and then a lot of the systems that we've integrated into our practice that save us time and help us stay on point with what we are trying to do in practice.
Right. Well, wonderful. Well, I'll tell you, just from experience, I obviously have it here. It's been wonderful for me. And if you don't mind, I'll just tell you a couple things that I liked about it. Well, first and foremost, perhaps one of the most important aspects to this book to me, are the reminder of doing your daily affirmations. And, that's something that I feel like gets looked over. In fact, I don't think I even heard that once going through chiropractic school, how important affirmations are. As you think, so shall you be. That's just a famous quote from a pastor that said it once that I really, really like. And, man, it's the truth. You attract what you feel and what you think. And, it's easy to visualize the great things when things are going really great, but it's tough to stay positive and keep visualizing those victories when things are getting tough and hard. And so for me, the affirmations, the reminder to do those, and the spaces on the 100-day planner to do those, that's great. So the more you write it down, the more you think about it, it's going to manifest. So I really liked that. I love that part of it. Also just having the daily planner in the back of it. It's very easy, speaking from experience, trying to get a practice going on my own. It's very easy to get overwhelmed and inundated with, so much to do on a daily basis. You get distracted almost and kind of feel like you don't get anything done. So, being able to write those things down morning and evening, having, different things that you can do, things that are realistic to get done that day. Wonderful. Also, to celebrate the small victories you guys have in there. What's today's big win? That's really important, and keeping positive. And then as far as, the information in the beginning of the book is crucial. It's so wonderful. It helps you keep your mind on the things that you need to get done, and kind of in chronological order too. And you give different, resources, how much to budget and what to expect. And, some of the things that, you don't really think about, business expenses that you can write off, continuing education. It was all great information, and I'm still enjoying it every single day. So I just really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for those kind words. I mean, I appreciate that. And I love that sort of feedback. There's so much that we didn't know when we started. And looking back, hindsight's 20/20. And looking back, I always think, I wish someone would have told me, or if they did, I wish they would have organized it in a manner that I could really it would hook me in, and I could, chronologically go through it and really connect the dots. So that was one of our big goals with the book, is to do that. And even to roll it back a little step further, I found this out, just through experience, and I guess it's obvious now, but so much of being successful is a mindset. It's how you look at things. And when you're first starting out, I mean, you have to have delayed gratification. It's going to cost a bunch of upfront time and money, and you may not see a result for a while. And if you can't, stay positive and realize that you're working for short-term goals now. You're playing the long game. You're trying to get to a bigger destination. You can sometimes sort of get lost, or I've seen people burn out and quit, right when success was around that next corner. So we wanted to set that up right from the get-go and then give you this list of, almost the to-do list of what you need to do to get started and pitfalls you should look out for and that sort of thing.
Absolutely. Well, I know that you guys have said, you've mentioned several reasons behind the book and the planner and kind of why you wrote it, but did you have anything else to add to that on why you wrote this or how this idea came about?
I think a lot of what we put in there are guides that we've taken from our experience that have helped us, that we maybe didn't know off the bat, but it came to us and we thought, hey, this is great. This really works. Let's put this, let's save this for later. And it's, putting checklists together or and running through tasks that need to be done, but you don't necessarily think about. You come across this here and, oh, this really helped us. Let's use that. And so I think we thought that this could help a lot of the, students or the new chiros starting out that maybe they wouldn't think of it either for, maybe we didn't do it our first year, but it'd be awesome if you did. So.
Right. Absolutely. Spread the success.
Yeah. And I mean, part of, just to piggyback on what she's saying is, some things that we kind of learned the hard way, we figured out. And the other thing is part of us learning it the hard way was maybe something we took 10 steps to do, but we figured out how to do it in 5. And so we wanted to distill it down into something that's manageable because since we've been through it, to shortcut it. Because I think anybody, and this is just part of, if you have a mentor or a coach or anything, the whole idea is that they can jumpstart your success or give you the shortcuts so that you don't have to learn everything on your own. Because we can, except for, when you're trying to get your business launched and profitable as quickly as you can, your very survival, so to speak, is at stake. And to be able to skip steps and have some shortcuts, we thought would be really valuable. So that was part of it as well.
Absolutely. So tell me how this planner differs from others out there.
One of the aspects of the planner is that we've taken a lot of what we've learned, even just from the podcast guests, and integrated that also, as well as of what we've learned in our own process of creating our own systems and our own practices.
Oh, kind of just what the listeners are looking for and the struggles they're having already?
Exactly. And we've asked all the podcast guests, what are some tips that you would give the new docs and what's helped you out, or what have you seen to be very helpful for someone who might be struggling or new to the process. And so I think integrating that as well as all of the major chiropractic aspects of the book. I don't know that there is another chiropractic planner out there.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of planners out there that are good planners. We've looked at them and sort of studied them before we put this together. But this is not just a planner. On top of it, it's got all the bonus chapters that are really just specific to building a chiropractic practice. And like Haley said, we've had some great interviews on the podcast. People like Dr. Bo Pierce, Dr. Jeffrey Langmaid, Dr. Stephen Franson, Dr. Sean Dill. I know I'm leaving a lot out because we've had over 100 episodes so far, but a lot of wisdom has been shared with us in the almost year or so we've been doing this podcast. So we took some of their quotes and included them in the book, some of their top recommendations, and included them as well.
That's awesome. That's great. And I know that it's been wonderful to kind of look through those and read those, just the daily, like I said, affirmations and the positive words of the day. It really helps. It's been great. So let's see. Are you recommending that maybe chiropractors, they use these, especially out of college, you recommend them using this planner and this book rather than joining a management group?
Well, we're certainly, the planner is a lot cheaper than a management group.
That's the truth.
But, I wouldn't say we're recommending it over that. There's a lot of great groups out there. And really, from talking to groups and going to being invited to different meetings that they've had and some of their seminars. I think if someone is gauging being in a practice management group, they need to choose something or a model that resonates with them, that's congruent with how they want to practice and how they want to live. And ultimately, any practice management group, it is building systems built around a certain way of practice. And so you have to make sure that way of practice, like I said, resonates with you. If not, keep looking for other ones. And maybe you don't know when you're first starting out, which is fine. The planner is not built around any particular philosophy of chiropractic or style of practice. It's pretty open-ended and universal because there are different types of practice. So if you're a DABC doc, or if you're an upper cervical or subluxation based or a lot of ART, whatever it is chiropractic is to you and how you want to practice, what we have in there isn't built around those specific philosophies or ideas or techniques, really. I sort of wandered there, but hopefully I answered your question.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So with that same thought, with that same idea in mind, would you say that this book would be recommended for just about any type of chiropractor in any specialty out there?
Yeah, I would. I think, like I said, it's not limited. There's nothing limiting in it. A lot of it's the basics, how to form your corporation, what type of corporation you should form, how to get financed and things like that. And then the other part is more the mindset coaching part, a whole lot of, the head game, how to communicate the value of chiropractic to your patient, and how to organize your day and your life in such a way as to really do yourself a favor and lend itself to success. And then the last thing, I guess, there's a lot of resources, but one that I'm really proud of are the marketing ideas. There's over 50 different marketing ideas in there. Much of them, they're broken down into online and then external and internal, and they're pretty universal. So again, whatever style of chiropractic you want to practice, these should all be applicable. And there's so many in there, I doubt any one person would be able to do all of them. We can't even do all of them, but we try to put all the good ideas in.
And it's, and with that, it's whatever's going to resonate with you. And so we've just included everything that we know that's worked for us and for others. But also I wanted to mention that the book's not just for someone who's starting their own practice. I think anyone who is going to go work for someone else or be an independent contractor, which you are kind of starting your own business in someone else's, I think it would work for anyone. Anyone who wants to succeed and truly build a great practice that has great patients and a referral base where people are, your patients that you are seeing are referring others into you, then I think it's a great resource for that too.
I'd have to agree with you on that. And I'll kind of just steal Dr. Richard's word here. It's really is about the headspace. So you get to tailor make this book into what you want it to be, while still giving you all the wonderful resources. And you mentioned the marketing ideas; they're incredible. And there's a calendar there on the back that kind of gives you things to do in order. And it is really great. So it is a good resource for getting your mind right, getting your head on straight, to use a chiropractic term. But I would agree with you guys. It is a great book for just about anyone, as far as I can see. So let's move on to an important question that I'm sure a lot of listeners would like to know. How much does the book cost?
Well, we try to make it affordable to everybody. And depending on when somebody hears this podcast episode, we are pre-launch right now. We still have a couple of weeks before it's actually available and will ship. So for the next 2 weeks, it's $29.95 plus $8.95 shipping. Oh, what? It's
$29 plus $8.95 shipping.
Oh, see, she's the numbers person.
Wonderful. Wow. That's pretty affordable. That's great.
And yeah, so for about $37 you get the whole thing. And then the regular price is going to be $49 once this pre-sale ends.
Plus the shipping.
Plus shipping.
Right. Okay. So, where can we find out more about this? Where could we send people to get a hold of one of these copies?
Sure. There's a website, www.chiroplanner.com, and that should have everything you need to know about it.
Yeah, we have pictures of it, and you can click on one of the journal pages that's filled out for you just to kind of get an idea of how it's organized. And there's a little bit about us and the podcast, and kind of we go step by step over how the book is organized and how it can be useful to you.
Oh, great. Okay. Wonderful. Kind of a sneak peek.
If anyone wants to email us, they can email us at info@chirobusinessmojo.com, and we'll answer any questions as well about the planner.
Yeah, more than happy to do that.
Great. Wonderful. Okay. Well, is there anything that I left out? I'd like to know everything that you guys want to share about the book. Is there anything that we didn't get to?
One thing is that if anyone who would like to sign up to be on our mailing list, we are emailing a couple of the resources out, some systems that we've used that have helped us out. So if you are looking for some free bonus material, you should get on the opt into the mailing list.
And that's at chirobusinessmojo.com. Is that where they do that?
Uh-huh.
So that's the podcast website, www.chirobusinessmojo, and click on that, get on our mailing list, and we'll send you out some freebies.
Wonderful. Everybody likes freebies. Okay, well, if you don't mind, we're going to take a little turn here and talk about more of your personal life. I'm just curious, who are some of your personal heroes, guys?
Well, for me, when I think about this question, I've got so many. If you live long enough and get old like me, you start to, there's so many people who touch our lives, whether it's, I don't know. There's so many people. I'm going to talk about just one, because really just thinking about the value of family. My grandfather's passed away. It's been over 10 years now, but he was such a role model for me and an inspiration. He was had an 8th grade education. He was a World War II vet. He was just a sweet guy, hardworking guy, owned several businesses and held down a full-time job and raised my mom and her brother. And
wow.
Just an all-around, just a role model. Some of the greatest nuggets of wisdom that I have been told in my lifetime, I can trace back to him. So like I said, there's a lot I could mention, I could go on, but there's people who come and go through our lives, and some of them leave an indelible mark on us. And
absolutely,
he certainly did.
That's incredible. What about you, Dr. Haley?
I will talk about someone in the business world because just to go a little different here. I worked for Dr. Michelle Robin when I was going to Cleveland University, and those around the Kansas City area probably are familiar with her, probably even elsewhere too. But I worked with her, and at the time we worked in her clinic, she had, I think, 9 chiropractors and 4 massage therapists and 2 counselors and a couple acupuncturists. And everything she did, I loved. I thought she was running a really good business that was caring for a lot of people, and it touched and reached the health of many of our community. And at the same time, she was employing 30 people probably that worked for her and were a part of her life and her tribe. And I loved how she did it. She just was a great entrepreneur, business person, and health coach for everyone that she came in contact with.
Yeah, and just to jump on board with that, she still hosts, I think, monthly in her office. I went to one of these meetings, but healthcare providers, she invites to a breakfast in her office once a month and just shares different ideas about healthcare and how we can all work together. So she's...
Oh, wow. That's so neat. That's very cool. It sounds like you both have some wonderful people in your life, but I will let you know that you both have been, and I'm sure to everyone as well, but to me personally, you guys have been great personal mentors, and I've really appreciated this book that you shared with me. It's been great. So I just want to let you know that you guys are heroes too. Yes, absolutely. You've been wonderful. It's such a great impact in my life as well. So, well, I just have a couple last final thoughts for you. Do you guys have, either one of you, do you have a book that you recommend that your listeners read?
I am currently just devouring books of all kinds, but a lot of business books and personal growth books. But one that I think about a lot, and it's a tough read, is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. It was written, I believe, in the 30s, and what he did was he studied the people who were very, very successful of that time, like Henry Ford, who started Ford, automobile company, obviously, and
Yes.
The Rockefellers and these railroad tycoons and people like that, the people who were really, really fortunate. And to my knowledge, not fortunate, but very well-to-do, very wealthy. They had made a lot of money in business. And to my knowledge, it's the first time that the accumulation of wealth, and I use that word, we think of money as sometimes being evil, but it was really success. What separates someone who's successful, and money's just a measurement of that, or at least one of them. What separates them from other people? How do they think? How do they utilize their time the most wisely? Who do they surround themselves with? How do they strategize and plan? All that stuff was studied and laid out in this book. And if you read it, I would recommend getting the newer version. There's an updated version because the meaning of the words has changed over the years. He'll talk about your psychic power, and in 2017 we picture having spooky powers, the word psychic, but he really meant he really is talking about your mental power, what you can do,
Sure.
Put your mind,
Your headspace.
Yeah, exactly, headspace. So. Those things are updated. Plus, there's newer examples of, people like Steve Jobs are included. They're talked about, and people like Bill Gates and other entrepreneurs that we are probably more familiar with. But I would have to say that book is, for me, the blueprint that a whole lot of other success has been built on since then.
And Dr. Richard, before we move on to Dr. Haley, could you repeat the title, please?
Yeah, it's called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Great. Wonderful. I'm writing that one down myself. It sounds like a great book.
I would say, for me, one of my favorites is The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. And I think for anyone, habits, consistency, and just keeping with, your goal and working towards it every day, little by little, doing just one little aspect or even big chunks, whatever you can get done each day and keep moving towards that goal is going to be beneficial to anyone. And that's, a lot of what the Chiroplanner is helping people keep continued consistent action in the same direction.
Absolutely. I was going to say your book here is a great resource for that. It's a great tool to keep on track. So it's great.
Some of the new studies, and in fact, I talk about them in the book, shows that if we do things repeatedly, and especially if we write them down, it actually rewires the brain. You can change your outlook on life if for example, if you show gratitude, if you write down three things a day that you're thankful for over a period of 20 days, you will start to change your brain, the way it's working and looking at things. So part of this, journaling, writing down your affirmation day after day, writing down your goals, and reassessing, those things are all so important when you're trying to ingrain a habit in yourself.
Absolutely. Another great part about this book here, it's one of my favorite parts, is that on every day it tells you, or it gives you a space to be thankful. What are you thankful for, and to write your affirmations. So important. Love that. Okay. So to change gears a little bit, just a little nugget of advice for your listeners. What is some of the best business advice you've ever received?
I would say for me, it's not to be all things to all people. You are who you are, and you will attract, for a chiropractor, you want to attract the patients that you're going to work well with, and those are the ones that are going to benefit from you the most. And so I think you just, to focus on those people, and focus on the people you really are, your people, and what can you do to attract those people to your practice, I think is better than trying to be the chiropractor to the whole town. It's not how we've ever done it, and it's worked for us. So, but I think, you can't be all things to all people. It's a goal that'll never work. So
that's some great advice. That's something that I think a lot of chiropractors struggle with. At least I did anyway, trying to find what my certain niche was, and just having so many other different specialties out there, it was tough, to have to put some aside. But I think that's great advice.
Yeah, early on, I went to a continuing education seminar, and it was taught by a sports chiropractor. And I came out of there fired up. I was going to be a sports doc. I had all this equipment I was going to go buy, and I was going to start working with the high schools and the athletes. And Haley was nice enough to remind me that I never played a single sport in high school. I had no idea that there was leagues in baseball until I was an adult. I mean, I would have been laughed at by anybody because I just don't have that bro thing going on when it comes to sports.
Well, I mean, it's a really good point. That is a great point there. Don't try and be someone that you're not. Your inner experience has to meet your outer expectations. Absolutely.
Right. And I guess for me, my bit of business advice that I think is the best advice I ever received, and this has been backed up with what I've seen in all the interviews I've done on the podcast, but there are so many paths to success. And like I was just talking about, being a sports chiropractor is not my path. And Haley's talking about being authentic and true to yourself. When I talk to all these different chiropractors, there are so many people being successful in chiropractic in so many different ways. So to bring it kind of back home where we started this conversation, when you're coming out of school, you just don't know which way you want to go, which one's the right one. Just know that there's a lot of right paths. You just need to find the one that's right for you.
Absolutely. The one that suits you. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. It was a struggle for me in the beginning, but once I found it, it becomes easy because it's who you are. So absolutely. So I know we've mentioned the website a couple times, but just so we all know, what is the best way for people to connect with you and find out more about what you do?
Well, there's the website, www.chirobusinessmojo.com, and then the chiroplanner.com also. We're also on Facebook and Instagram for all of those. So you can friend us, you can find our page. We have a Chiro Business Mojo community that's free to be a part of. So those are all great ways to find us.
Awesome. Okay. And Dr. Richard, anything to add to that? You got it all?
No, that's probably the best way to get in touch with us. We are pretty responsive. We'll get back to you just as quick as we can, and love to hear from people and get feedback not only on the Chiro Planner but on anything else. If we can help anybody be more successful in practice, we're here to do so. We just, I think chiropractic is so great, and it's kind of a shame that it's underutilized. And for us to get our message out there and take care of more people, we need more of us being successful at the business side.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it has to be that way. And anytime. If we can help, let us know.
Great. Well, guys, thank you so much for letting me kind of pick your brains here and for telling us more about the book. I know I'm excited to dig in more with it. So, thank you.
You bet. It's been our pleasure, and thank you for being a part of this. And good luck with your practice, and let us know if we can do anything to help you out.
Well, thank you so much. You already have, and I look forward to letting this book help me even further. So thank you so much.
Thanks for listening to the Chiro Business Mojo podcast at www.chirobusinessmojo.com.